The Marietta and Washington County Convention and Visitors Bureau is preparing to open their historic trolley tour season this May. The trolley has been a staple of Marietta tourism since 1984. The tours first began over 3 decades ago by a man named Harley Noland, who purchased the trolley to promote tourism for the city. The trolley was purchased by the CVB in 2025. Tours run about 90 minutes long and include highlights of some of the historical sites you can see in the city. According to Deanna Clark, executive director of the CVB, they saw roughly 3,000 visitors who took the trolley tour last season. She believes that the tour should be one of the first things you do when visiting Marietta.
Well, our trolley is historic, quite old. It was built in the early 80s, so we try to take pristine care of this old gal. She means a lot to us. She's never lived in any other city but Marietta. It endears you to that town. And so we feel like it's really important for us to have, for the Visitor Bureau to operate the trolley and to keep it going.
The tours will start May 2nd and run until around the last weekend in October. A local historian will highlight important events and locations in the city to promote the rich history Marietta has to offer. You can find a link to their schedule and where to purchase tickets on our website at WTAP.com.